Mark chapter 6, verse 31. This is Jesus speaking. And he's talking to his disciples. He said to them, "Come aside into a deserted place and rest a little." For there were many coming and going, and they didn't even have an opportunity to eat. I'm going to ask a real dumb question. Does anyone in this room feel like you need some rest? Let me ask it a different way. Is there anyone in this room who does not feel like you need some rest? And the question then is, why don't we rest when we need to? How could we rest if we decided to? I want to see what Jesus said about this topic. I want to take you back in this passage to the beginning of the chapter. There's a lot going on here. There's only one way to categorize what is happening in this entire chapter, and it's just that nasty four-letter word, work. That is what's going on in this whole passage of Scripture. Just work. Jesus rounded up his disciples and he split them up into pairs of groups of two, sent them out, told them to do the ministry, and they've been. I mean, in this season, they have been out doing miracles. They've been out preaching the gospel. They've been out seeing people healed and all kinds of amazing, casting out devils. All kinds of amazing miracles have been taking place during this season, okay? That's leading up to this passage, up to this verse. So these guys have been out working everywhere. And they're excited because they have been utilizing the gifts of the Spirit that are in them. And they've been seeing some miraculous things that they had seen when they just hung around with Jesus. These are the things that are like, wow, we saw Jesus do this. Now we're getting to do this. And it's been an amazing time for them. But it's been a lot of work. They return to Jesus, and as they're returning during that time, Jesus finds out that his first cousin John has been beheaded. And Jesus is obviously very saddened by this news and realizes that not just him, but all of his group need a break. They need to be refocused. They need to be replenished. Jesus recognized the need, and then this verse took place. I want to break it down. He said, "Come aside." Come aside there is an imperative. It's like if we were all standing around here and all of a sudden one of us said, "Come on, let's go." That is the exclamation point that belongs with this statement. When Jesus says, "Come on," it's the boss saying we're getting ready to do something, and no one is going to be left out. No one is exempt. Basically, fellas, drop what you're doing. Come on, let's go. Into a deserted place. That can mean a wilderness. That can just mean a solitary place of solitude. So come on, let's go to this solitary place and let's rest or be refreshed a little. A little is a season. It's not a long season. How many of you think you're ready for this word today? Raise your hand. I want you to pay close attention. Jesus says, this is what we are going to do. Drop everything else. Come on, we're going to go to this place and we're going to rest a little. And we're all doing it. Now, if you want to get ahead of me here, you can see that when they get in the boat and then they cross the sea, that when they get there, that the people have figured out where they were going and they're already waiting on them. And immediately Jesus and his disciples go back to work And there's a huge miracle that takes place out of this moment of seemingly no break. It just, as we glance at this, we look at it and say, well, they need a break. He says, let's take a break. They go to take a break, and they don't get to take a break. Because when they get there, here's 5,000 people who need ministry. Not just prayer, not just preaching. They need food. We got to go to work. And we've only got 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. Whatever break they had been hoping to get, the stress level just went nuts like it would if, Mom, if you were preparing Thanksgiving for 10 people and 50 showed up, or 500 showed up, or 5,000 showed up. Nobody was prepping for this meal at all. The people are fed. Jesus sends the disciples. The word is immediately. He puts them right back on the boat, says, head on back. And Jesus goes up onto a mountain to pray. Why? Because he still needs some time. He's trying to get his mind right. Anybody ever need some time to get their mind right? It's a bad night. It's the only way I can put it. It's a bad night because between 3 and 6 in the morning, when everybody should have been sleeping, these guys are out in the middle of the sea about to die in the middle of a storm. Hadn't been a real restful day. We went from working in twos to finding about John to getting in a boat to going over here to 5,000 people that needed to be fed, right back on a boat, out here all night long fighting this storm. It sounds like stress to me. And then Jesus, who's been praying, resting, comes walking on the water and speaking peace to the situation that they find themselves all in. Sometimes your season of rest can't be very long. But it doesn't need to be. I want you to notice something about this. When Jesus said, come on, let's go to a deserted place and rest a little, all of them had something in their mind. They had a picture in their mind. A place of rest. We're going to get in a boat and we're going to go to a place. And when we get to that place, all of us are always looking for that place. When we get to that place, we get to rest. But the place didn't turn out to be what they thought the place would be. Some of you are understanding this right now. You're like, well, this is what I keep telling my wife. This is what I keep telling my husband. Hey, if we just get through this, we're going to get, at some point, we're going to get to a place. Yeah, you're going to get to the next season in life that brings its stressors with it. But Pastor, I got to have something to look forward to. I have 3 little kids and they take turns being sick. I haven't slept in 3 weeks. I have elderly parents or elderly relatives that they've become my children, and all I do now is just, I have bills that every time I get them paid, the minute I get them paid, I know the more are coming, and I don't know where. This just doesn't end. Pastor, I do not see a light at the end of this tunnel. Can we be honest in this room? Would there be anybody here that would say right now, I love the Lord, but I'm in a situation where I do not see any light at the end of a tunnel in this or any other parallel universe? Are we not going to be honest? We're looking for a place to take a break. I just want to get to that place. Jesus said, hey, we're going to get in this boat and we're going to go to a place and we're going to rest a little. And they thought this place is going to be a good place. But the place turned out to be more stressful than the place they had come from. So then they thought, well, maybe it's not about the place, maybe it's about the boat. Because see, when they went over in the boat the first time, they did rest a little. Right? I mean, it was at least a couple of hours that they were able to take their phone and lay it over there. They got on the boat and they at least had a little bit of time to get their mind right before they got to the other side. So then they begin to equate it. They said when they got to the other side, they're like, well, we're not going to rest. It's not about the place. It must be about the boat. Then they got back in the boat, and about 3 o'clock at night, in the morning, somebody said, no, it ain't about the boat, because the boat's not a good place to be. So you can't box this into something. You can't say it's going to happen the same way every time. Well, I found a place to rest one time, Pastor. I could preach this message because the last time I was really in a bind, I found a place to rest. And if I know I just got to go back there. You can go back there all you want, but when you get back there, it might not be a peaceful place when you get back. It's not about the boat. It's not about the deserted place. And yet we need to rest. And sometimes that rest can't be a long season, doesn't have to be. When I first started ministry, I've told this before, but I think it's been a little while. A couple of years into ministry, I nearly thought that I wouldn't be able to do this long term. I could not bear the burden and the stress of the position. Every person that came to me that said, I need a job, I need money, my kids are sick, I've got this going on, I need that. Every one of them became a personal burden for me to try to fix. Because they were mine. And I loved them. And I worried about them. And I wanted to be happy. And I couldn't rest until everything was fixed and everybody was fine. And I said, God, I can't do this. I can't do this. I found so-and-so a job, and I got so-and-so some groceries, and I went up to the hospital and prayed for this one, and we got that lined up, and then look at the dam broke, and there's 5 more people. I didn't even get that done. I got 5 more now, and I can't go home. Can't go home tonight. I can't go home tonight and see my wife and my kids because I got 5 more people I got to get fixed. God, I can't do this. I'm understanding why these pastors do this for 2 or 3 years and move. They leave a church, they take a little break, and then they start again. They go as long as they can bear it. And then when their wife says, we can't do this anymore, we never see you, the kids don't know who their dad is. Then he resigns the church and takes a little break, and then he starts up again somewhere else. I said, God, I'm going to be one of those people. I don't know what to do. He gave me a couple of things that have helped me tremendously. Had he not given them to me, I would not have been able to do what I do. He said, do what you can and don't worry about what you can't. I found out that I couldn't do a lot, and so there was no need in worrying about 95% of what I was trying to do. I didn't make that person sick. I didn't split that marriage up. I didn't get that person fired. I'm not the reason for the situations that they were in. Those were of their own doing, and it was between them and God, and I couldn't fix it. I was just there because for some reason people thought and do think that the pastor is the closest manifestation to God on the earth. They don't realize that they are too. But they think that the pastor is that person, and they think, I just got to get to him. I need to tell him to pray. Because I can't and people around me can't. I got to get to him. And then I even had some of them that would say, well, I'm going to try to, when it didn't work out, they tried to get me to pray and that didn't go the way they wanted to. And they'd say, well, I'm going to try to find somebody that can touch God. Because I couldn't either. Right? Got to find somebody that can touch God. Well, when you find them, let me know. I'd like for you to hook me up there too. So. One of the funniest stories Pastor Kyle tells is the time that he went to pray for a guy at the hospital, and while he was praying for him, the guy died. The family didn't want him to pray no more. Right? It's a great story. You got to get him to tell it. Because the preacher's supposed to fix it, Brad. We're in a mess. God can fix it. We can't see him tangibly, but we can see the preacher. He's the closest thing we can see. He'll fix this. This is what the mentality was of these disciples. We can't rest in the place because they're waiting for us there. We can't rest in the boat because the storms come there. We can't rest. It's so funny. Deb and I have been on vacation. I'm not complaining. I praise the Lord. I mean, it was going to be a 2-week vacation. Ended up getting cut short because we couldn't get 2 weeks out of it. And then in that time, we went to 2 funerals. Sounds like a fun vacation, right? And when we weren't at funerals, we were taking texts and calls and emails from people that were in need because that's how life works. You say, it sounds like you're whining. No, I'm not. I was just prepping for this message. I didn't know I was because the message was completed before I went on vacation, I thought. And then I lived the message for 2 weeks. I tried to go to the place. Place didn't work. Tried to get back on the boat. Boat didn't work. I tried to lay the phone down. I even turned it off on silent. But every once in a while, you couldn't ignore the light that kept flashing, and the curiosity got the best of me. And there was that, I'm just being transparent with you guys. There was that selfish side of me. I realized this is what it was. That selfish side of me, it was like, I was really excited because we were going to take this 2 weeks, and that's the time I look forward to because I go and I get away and I spend time, I get my mind right, I'm able to be objective, and I come back and I've cleared everything out, and I was really looking forward to that. And I just had this, feeling going into it. 2 or 3 weeks before, I kept telling Deb, this ain't gonna work. We got to leave the country. I was serious. I said, we got to leave the country. We don't want to leave the country. We don't want to have to leave the country. I said, I'm just telling you, this one is not going to work. I got this sick feeling in my gut. If I stay here, I'm going to work. This was not going to be a vacation. If we don't leave the country, because I said, if we're anywhere in the country, it won't matter because people are like, well, they're just in Branson. And it's me. He likes me. If I call, it's okay. And it's not that that's not okay, because I love to hear from you. Just not when I'm on vacation. But when the vacation was over, and we were back from the funerals, and everything else, it's been so bad because everybody said, how was your vacation? I don't want to lie. I'm like, it was good. I mean, there were times, there was some really cool times. I don't know if y'all been to Lost Valley and done the trail all the way up the cave. That was awesome. There was the golf cart over there at Big Cedar, where they get in the golf cart and turn the lights on, drive through the cave. That was pretty cool. You got about an hour, hour and a half right there driving around the golf. I mean, that was pretty cool. So there were those seasons. It wasn't until this morning I understood completely this word. It wasn't until I went back and I started looking at this, or last night and this morning, seeing where Jesus said, let's rest a little, that I then began to understand it. I said, Lord, I'm sorry. I'm so selfish. I had it in my mind what things were going to be, and it wasn't that. But I'm fine. I don't want y'all worried. I mean, I'm fine. I'm excited. I love what I do. I love what I do every day. I'm excited about tomorrow. I love what I do, and I love you. It wasn't about that at all. It's simply about a sermon illustration, probably for somebody here that's going to need to hear this. That's usually why these messages work the way they do. I live them, and then I preach them. And I hadn't lived this one lately, so I lived it 2 weeks before we got here today. But the Lord knows, and I'm like, I was being selfish. I thought I needed something that I really didn't need. I wanted something that I really didn't need. But Lord, you knew what we needed, and you know what we as a church need. So I point back to this to say, again, sometimes that rest can't be about a place or about an event. And it doesn't have to be a long period of time. Sometimes it's just mowing the lawn. I mean, I don't know if y'all like mowing your lawn or not, but I kind of miss it when we don't mow the lawn, because that's my time to leave my phone in the house and listen to the roar of a motor and drown everything out. I mean, I spend about an hour just sitting on a mower, just the most my mind has to work is when I got to back it up and I got a zero turn. I don't even got to do that anymore. You got your Walkman going, or got you the earbuds or Beats or what? No. I'm just one of those guys. I'm just one of those guys who just got that empty head. Just I got nothing going in. Huh? I like it that I don't want to think. I don't want to sing. I don't want to hear music. I just want to veg out. It's like you're just dead, but you're riding a lawnmower. Sometimes that's your day off. When I first went into ministry, I used to get so frustrated because the place where I worked, they gave us 1 day a week off, and then we worked on that day. All the time. I mean, they gave us 1 day a week off, and then it was like, and then when you came to work on Monday, they say, what'd you do on your day off? And if you didn't say you worked, it was almost like, well, you're a dog. You're a dog. You didn't work on your day off. And I can remember when we'd get that day off, and I'd look forward to it. I'm like, hey, I'm going to get a day off 3 weeks from today. We're going to have a Friday off. And then that Friday would roll up and be like, hey, just hate to tell you all this, but we got this going on, and we didn't know, and it's going to happen tonight, and I need somebody up here to unlock the door. And you can still take your day off, just be available up here for about 8 hours. Some of y'all know what I'm talking about. You don't have to be right here. Just make sure you got your phone with you and that you get on up there and take care of all that. It was, to say the least, it was very stressful. Sometimes, I'm not just talking about me. You guys, when I say these things, you relate because your life is the same way. It's just, we do different things, but it's the same way. Your responsibilities don't let up. Family needs continue to press in. Bills keep coming. Job requires unrealistic expectations. And you're not going to be able to do this the right way very long until you learn how to take your rest. And I said take your rest. You will have to take your rest. You won't get it any other way. Jesus told the boys, come on, we're going to go rest, even if it's just for a little while. I want you to understand something. God can multiply your rest. Those of you that are saying, Pastor, we're getting ready to have vacation. I hope you're not ruining it by what you're saying in your message. I hope we're going to have a good vacation. I hope you do too. But those of you that are saying, we're just trying to get to a place. Our youngest is going to be out of diapers in about 3 months. We're just trying to get to a place. Yeah. And all of those of you that have kids that are older than diapers, you know what's coming next. You say, well, I can't take a rest, Pastor. I can't take rest. There is no time in my life. I literally have no time to take a break. When I was a little kid, that was back in the 70s. And that was back in the day. I mean, I'm not going to say people love the Lord more than they do now. I don't believe that that's true. But our priorities were different because values were a little bit different. And entertainment was quite a bit different. And we went to church all the time because church. It was spiritual, it was social, and it was entertaining. You stayed at home if you had a TV. It had rabbit ears and foil wrapped around it. You might get 3 channels, and those were fuzzy. And one of the kids, whoever's turn it was, had to sit close to the TV to change the channel, right? And to adjust the rabbit ears until it, and they say, stop, stop, stop. Some of y'all don't even know what I'm talking about because you're too young. And then you turn loose of it. No, hang on to it. So then you're standing there through the program. In the 70s, it was CBS, NBC, and ABC. That's it. Fox wasn't even around back then. And you didn't really want to stay home and watch TV. There wasn't anything to watch. Once Bonanza was over, that was about it, you know. But we were in church all the time. I mean, anybody have a revival? Dad would come home, he'd be working, he'd come home and he'd say, hey, they're having revival over at Antioch tonight. Hey, here we go. And so, in between his pastoring and all the revivals and all the stuff, we were gone all the time. And I'm not getting on to y'all. I think it's awesome that you can have schedules where you can feed your children at night and put them to bed and all. I think that's really cool. I didn't live that way. Ours was dinner at some point between 5 and 8 or 9. And when you got home from revival at 9 or 10, whether you was in the first or second grade, it didn't matter. Then's when you went to bed. There was no such thing as 8 hours of sleep for children that went to revival every night. It just didn't happen. Some of y'all are shaking your head because you lived in that world. You know what I'm talking about. But I can remember hearing my mama and my dad pray over me as a little boy. We'd come home late, either from church, revival, ministry, situation, whatever we'd been, whatever dad, because dad was a pastor. So whatever we had been in, wherever we had been, we would come home late and they would put us in the bed and I would hear mom and dad say, Lord, I know it's only a few hours till they got to get up, but give them 8 hours of sleep tonight and help their minds be refreshed. And when they wake up in the morning, I pray that that their little minds will be focused and clear and they'll be able to go to school and make good. And you know what? Me and my sisters made good grades. They made better than me because they were in class more than me. I'd have done better if I'd have been in the classroom instead of the principal's office. But all 3 of us made good grades. When you say, I don't have time, I don't have the opportunity to rest, and I'm saying to you that if you can just carve out, sometimes it's just maybe just the time you're driving in the car. The kids have been dropped off, and if it's only 5 or 10 minutes, at that moment, mom, dad, in that moment, think about this. Just stop and realize it's quiet. It's just me and Jesus. And in that moment, force yourself to drop the stress of one of them just peed their pants on the way to school and you didn't have any clothes to change them into. Drop all of that for just a minute and in that moment stop and just relax and deeply breathe. Breathe in, just breathe out and relax and say, Lord, it's not about the place. It's not about the boat. It's not about the time. It's about the frame of mind. You have to take that break. If you're saying, I need a day, I need a week, I need a month, you're not going to get it. I'm just telling you straight up, you're not going to get it. Your life is not going to suddenly go away and let you rest. Whatever season you're in, it's not going to happen. So you're going to have to figure out how to take breaks when you get them. Very quickly, here's 3 reasons why people don't rest. I'm talking about just a 30-minute nap, or sitting on the hammock for a few minutes, or just turning the phone off for 15 minutes or whatever. Here's 3 reasons why we don't do it. 3 reasons why we refuse to rest. Are you ready? Write them down. Number 1, we do not rest because of guilt. We tell ourselves we have too much to do, so we can't take a break. We do it. Pastor, I can't. It'd be great if I could do what you're saying. I can't. I cannot. I have too much to do. And I want you to know something, guys. This is going to sound kind of rough, but that's a lie. Because even God himself took a break at creation. Did he need one? No, he's God. He could do whatever he wanted. He could create this universe in 6 days, and then he could take the next 6 and create 87 billion more. God didn't need a break. He wasn't tired. He wasn't sleepy. He didn't need a vacation. Thank God he doesn't need any of that right now. That's why we can go to him at any time. He didn't need a break. He took a break. Why? Because he knew we need a break. So he took a break to show us that we should take a break. My question is, are you busier than God? Woo! May not be as rough as Adam, but it's pretty rough. Adam got you last week. Some of y'all, you know what I'm saying? I was like, I was in my car like, whoo, man, he's preaching today. He got me. It was good. Do you have more to do? Do you have more responsibility? Do you need more time than God? So Jesus handled this situation differently than we would. Jesus took the break because there was so much to do. You get up and you say, I have so much to do today, there's no way I'm going to get it all done today. Okay, then start with an hour of prayer. That's stupid. Now I lost an hour. No, you didn't. You just gained the energy, the wherewithal to make good, smart decisions. You just put yourself in a position to be successful and gained yourself some time today instead of losing it, because now he's the one guiding all this instead of you. So many people were coming, so many were needy, so he took a break. Listen to this statement. If you allow guilt to control you, you will become a workaholic, and that's about as bad as being either any other kind of holic. You say, no, it's not. You saying it's worse to be a workaholic than an alcoholic? They both steal your time, your energy, your resources, your relationships. They both do the same thing. So stop allowing guilt to control your life and take your rest. Number 2, we don't because of time. We tell ourselves we don't have time. Now, I went to the Lord with that one time. Boy, he really got me on this one. I was a lot younger. God, I don't have time to do all this. I got to do this and this and this and this. I don't have time. And God said, oh yeah, you do. I said, no, I don't. He said, how many hours in a day do you have? I said, well, 24. He said, that's the same that Moses had. Are you pastoring more people than Moses? He only had about 3 million. I said, no. He said, you got the same amount of time everybody else gets, 24 hours a day. Sometimes people, I think we need to learn to budget rest the way we do money. Some of y'all don't budget money, and that's why we have some of our conversation. But if you would budget your time and your rest the way you budget your money, which is some of you that do budget your money, you know Man, I know every week what bill is coming in, and usually about where it's at. I'm talking about, we know that with the church. We know that personally. We know. I got an old school method for my own personal finances that I know every month. I know every week when certain things are due. I know what's going on with that whole thing all the time. So you budget that, because if you don't tell your money where to go, your money will tell you where to go, right? And it's not a pretty place. So what if you were to budget your rest that same way? And you say, well, I don't have any time. Yes, you do. Stop and think about it a minute. There's 5 minutes in the car there. There's 8 minutes over here. Oh, come on, Pastor, that's stupid. Not if you want to rest. If you truly don't have any time and it's only 5 to 8 or 10 minutes or 30 minutes, find it, budget it, take it. Well, then I'll let my mind go crazy and I'll end up with that 30 minutes. I'll end up working. That's on you. That's on you. Some people say it's better to burn out than to rust out. But that's not good advice, because neither one of those are scriptural. Jesus said in Matthew 11:28, come to me all who are tired from carrying heavy loads, and I'll give you rest. What's he say? You got to make a choice. Come to me, all of you who are tired from carrying heavy loads, and I'll give you rest. Place my yoke over your shoulders. Learn from me, because I'm gentle and humble. You'll find rest for yourselves, because my yoke is easy and my burden is light. I love what A.B. Simpson wrote. He wrote a little poem years ago. It goes like this. Once my hands were always trying hard to do my best. Now my heart is sweetly trusting, and my soul is all at rest. Once my life was full of effort. Now it's full of joy and zest. Since I took his yoke upon me, Jesus gives to me his rest. Let God set your agenda. Don't allow your agenda to be dictated by people or circumstances. Amen? Because someone or something will always vie for that. Let God set the agenda. Take a break or you won't get one. And the last one is choice. Psalm 23:2. I love it. It says, he makes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores or he renews my soul. You know what? He always will if we'll let him. Let me ask you a question. Wouldn't you rather go to the park by choice than to the hospital by necessity? Or by force? It's quiet. I know you're listening. But you need to understand something. God is not the one stressing you out. People may be, circumstances may be, you may be. But it's not God. Because God's given you, like we said, the same 24 hours that he's given everybody else. Jesus said, take your rest, and wise people will obey. We've got a long haul to survive, not a short sprint, and we're going to need to have our mind right and our soul right. You have to make a choice to rest. Don't allow the excuses of guilt, time, or choice to keep you from obeying God to rest. You got to take your rest. I read a story about a man who was... He lived this was years ago, and he lived in a rural place, and he was driving a cart. He was being pulled by a horse. He was driving his cart to town, and on his way into town, he saw an old man who was carrying this a heavy load, and he was just so bent and bowed over under the weight of this load. And he felt sorry for him, so he pulled the cart over, and he said to the old man, hey, where are you going? The guy said, I'm going to town. He said, I'm going to town. We're going to the market. Yeah, that's where I'm going. He said, well, let me give you a ride. And so the man jumped into the back of his wagon, and down the road the driver went. And about 3 minutes later, he decided to turn around and look back and see how the old fellow was doing. And he looked back, and lo and behold, the man was sitting there, but he still had the load on his back, and he was just as bowed over under the weight sitting in the cart as he had been walking. He didn't take the weight off, even when he could. Back at the text, Mark 6:31, but let's add a verse as our conclusion. Jesus said to them, "Come aside into a deserted place," not about the place, not about the boat, "and rest a little," a season, a little, and rest a little. Jesus said, didn't say rest a lot. Jesus didn't say, "Hey, come on, boys, y'all been working hard. Let's take a week." There wasn't one. He didn't say, "Hey, you deserved a vacation. Let's take 2 weeks." Didn't matter what you deserved. If you don't have it, you don't have it. Now, you can get really frustrated and upset about that if you want, but it's not going to get you down the road any further. It's not going to be good for you. Huh? Are any of y'all hearing this today? You can get mad if you want, but Jesus said, "Hey, come on, boys, we're going. We're going to take a break." All right. We're going to go to a place. About the place. And we're going to rest a little. How can the little, Jesus, be enough? If the place is not going to do it for me, huh? If the boat or the event isn't going to do it for me, but I'm still just as tired when I get back. I took a night off and went to the Branson Bell, and I'm still just as tired. Lord, I was supposed to feel good after I did this, right? He said, because it's not about a place. It's not about an event that you're looking forward to. It's not even about the little. It's about the little, the common denominator in the story, with Jesus. He's the common denominator all the way through here. I'm with y'all in the boat, out of the boat, in the storm. Didn't hit me till this morning. He's like, "You're the preacher. I had this message done. I wasn't even going to." It's like, wow, that's the common denominator. That's what he's saying. We use the term, we talk about abiding in him. Kyle talked about it a little while ago about how we need to abide. When we abide in him and he abides in us, that channel is open of that spirit going back and forth. The fruit is being produced not because we work hard to do it. It just is a natural production of abiding in the vine. It's just happening naturally. But what's happening is Jesus is the vine and I'm the branch. And so wherever Jesus says we go, whatever Jesus says we do, but I'm tired. And Jesus says, all right, just rest a little. It's time for you to carve out. Remember I said 8 minutes here, 10 minutes there, 5 minutes? Carve out 8 minutes here, 10 minutes there, 30 minutes there, and abide in the vine. God, I don't have long. I got only about 5 minutes. But I'm going to relax. I'm going to take a deep breath. And I'm just going to abide. I am just going to hang with you. That night that you kids were up crying and sick, and you get up the next morning and you look at the clock and you realize, oh my goodness, we only slept about 45 minutes between 8 hours. How do I feel all right? How am I going to make it through the day? Jesus said, we're going to abide in the vine. We're going to take rest. A little here, a little there, a little here, a little there. A lot when we get a chance. But it ain't about a place. It ain't about a boat. It ain't about an event. It's not like we're going to get someplace where it's going to get better. No, it ain't it. We're going to be able to do all of this abundantly through Christ who gives us strength because we are abiding in him. And there comes the rest. So back to the verse. He said to them, come aside to a deserted place and rest a little. Because there were many coming and going and they didn't even have an opportunity to eat. 32. And they departed by boat into a deserted place. You said, Pastor, what about the boat? What about the place? No. But they did depart. They did make the decision to depart. A little here, a little there. Are you ready? Jesus says, come now. He says, go to that solitary place, wherever that is, whatever that is. And if it's not a place at all, he says, get with me. Get with me a little. Take your rest. For so many of us in this room today, that's what it's about. We need to take our rest. If it's only 3 minutes right now on this altar, take it. Don't jump up and run out there and try to beat everybody to the parking lot. Huh? Like, oh, they're fixing to pray. If I hurry, we can get outside and we'll be first one out of the parking lot. Yeah, first one out of the parking lot. First one that didn't rest. First one that's stressed. First one that's just as tired as he was when he got here. But he's first out. Hey, we gained 3 minutes. We gained 3 minutes. Life still stinks, but we gained 3 minutes. He says, come on, guys. You're supposed to be living this life and living it more abundantly. It's not just heaven that's abundant. It's this one here. You're wishing these seasons away. I wish those kids would grow up. No, you don't. Someday they will. You don't really want some of the circumstances in your life to change, because if they did, a lot of the people that are in your life wouldn't be there anymore. We cause each other stress. We just do. We're needy, and we're really not, starting right here, all that smart. And dumb sheep cause people stress. They just do. They cause a shepherd all kind of stress. So you gotta take your rest every chance it's provided. And just a little bit of abiding is gonna be that fresh sap. You get up and you say, all right, we can go again. I can go again. How long can I go? Till I get a chance to rest again. Lord, I know it's took me a long time to say it. Thank you for giving them minds that are stronger than their behinds, that they're able to endure a sound word today. And teach us to rest. We got a song about to fire up right here. And what an opportunity for those of you. When Pastor Kyle was so spot on when he brought people forward, I was like, wow, I just want to preach. You know, I know this word. I know we're struggling. I know we're suffering. I know we're stressing. I know we got to get this word, Lord. We just got to get this word. During this song, find yourself a place. I don't care. You know me. I don't care. You can sit right where you're at, stand, walk, kneel, wherever you want to go. But do yourself a favor. Don't leave until you rest for a few minutes.
Hey guys, my name is Aaron Polinsky, and I am the online pastor here at Trinity Fellowship. I want to thank you for watching today's message with us, and let me encourage you to subscribe to our channel. That way you won't have to miss any of our new content in the future. If God's doing something special in your life through our ministry, we want to hear about it. Leave a message for us in the comments, or send us an email at online@trinitynwa.com. Also, if you'd like more information about Trinity Fellowship and all the ministries that we have to offer, be sure to check us out at our website at trinitynwa.com. Again, we are so happy that you found our channel and you've joined us today. We hope to see you here soon.